Can you imagine experiencing your life as easy and peaceful most of the time, even when things around you seem to be in chaos? It truly is a possibility. That is the gift of living with soul and ego in harmony, living in self-awareness without judgment. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the magic that is energy medicine. Now, here is the host of Soul Healing with Traci Trimble, Doctor of Energy Medicine, Traci Trimble.
Welcome, everyone. I am your host, Traci Trimble, and I am a Doctor of Energy Medicine. Thank you for joining me today as part of my global community. As a bioenergetic therapist, a spiritual guide, and an energy worker, I specialize in treating the cause and the effects of depression, anxiety, acute stress, and chronic pain from the perspective of the layers of energy that surround the human bioenergetic field, from the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. My passion is teaching energy medicine in the form of Reiki, chakra balancing, and Hatha yoga. My goal is not only to see through the layers of your bioenergetic field, but also my superpower is the ability to connect with your permission directly to the voice of your soul energy. Whether it's quietly whispering or it's screaming out for help, I hear you. As a trained talk therapist, I then have the joy of speaking with your ego energy, where it then becomes my job to guide and teach you how to bring soul and ego back into harmony. And that's exactly what this hour each week is all about. And this week, I'm going to take it out to you guys. We're going to be answering audience questions. Over the last 8 months or so, I have been receiving numerous emails, and thank you. I'm so grateful that you reach out, and I'm even more grateful that I've had the capacity to respond to all of them. The cool thing for me is that although there is an abundance of emails, everyone seems to be asking similar questions. And what I was able to do with the 70 most popular emails was to put them into 3 very specific groups. I'm going to talk to you today about the questions you of the audience have been asking. I want to start, though, by telling you why I'm doing this. Why am I doing this show? Well, the reason for this show is that 15 years ago, I made the statement out loud that I wanted to teach. I wanted to heal. I'm an empowering speaker. I've always had that capacity. There's no fear for me in front of one person or thousands of people. And I have the gift of being able to channel what source needs you to hear. So it actually is an easy and peaceful role for me. But the thought of having a global audience, which was my heart's desire, was challenging because I also don't love to travel. I spent the 15 years prior to that traveling for business, not enjoying it at all. I am a homebody. I love to be at home. So this platform, the radio, the podcast, gives me the capacity to connect with you on a very intimate level, to speak to you, to share with you the tools to be better, to do better, and to have better. And for this global platform, I want to express my deep gratitude. I live in a very small community, 22,000 people, about an hour and a half north and east of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. My little town is called Port Perry. And from that little town, very often from my bedroom or my living room, or sometimes from my office or my studio, I get to share with a global audience. Some of the questions that I'm going to share with you today come from New South Wales, Australia, from Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, from Brussels, Belgium, from Chicago, Illinois, USA, from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, from Paducah, Kentucky, USA, and from Fergus, Ontario, Canada. How incredibly cool is it that no matter where you are in the world, should you need guidance, you will have somehow found this radio show. And in it and its archives, you are gifted with an abundance of spiritual wisdom that costs you your time and your active awareness. That you are learning how to heal yourself, that you're learning how to accept the guidance of the universe. You're learning how to be better. You're learning how to feel good now so that you can live a life that is perfectly perfect. I just can't get over how incredibly amazing that is. And I'm so grateful to all of you for the success that this show has gifted to me. And by success, I mean gifting me the purposefulness of living my passion, of allowing me to create a life of balance. I work 3 days a week. I have a thriving live practice, a thriving online practice, where it's my job to help people learn, share, heal, and grow. How does it get any better than that? And because of you, I get to do that. So thank you for all your questions, your concerns, your ideas, your Facebook messages, your emails. Thank you for reaching out when you're in an absolutely horrible space that you think you're never going to get out of. But also thank you for reaching out when you're in the most incredible space you've ever known and you share it with me. That's the law of reciprocity, to give and to receive. This is the gift we have for each other, and this impact is truly global. Someone today in New South Wales is going to ask a question that you are longing for the answer to, that's going to gift you a little piece of aha that takes you into what's next, that gifts you a coincidence, luminosity, or an awareness that changes everything. So for this, I give thanks. I ask you to keep sending the questions. No matter how odd you are, I can't tell you how many emails start with something to this effect. I know this sounds weird, but it's not weird. It's magic. Keep asking the magical questions. The truth is that there are so many questions that come in that can kind of be tossed into an individual question. So when I state the question that we're about to share, I'd like you to realize that, and if it was your question, and I'm not quoting you directly, please know that I am answering you. I get so many of similar type questions that this show gifted me the capacity to really only answer 3 of them. So last April, on what would have been my grandfather's 90th birthday, I launched my very first global platform show on Inspired Choices Network. It was called Exploring Energy Healing. And since then, for the past 33 weeks, purposefulness has been to educate, to empower, to teach you to evolve. And because of you and all of your questions, that's exactly what I've been able to do. So I'm going to share with you the premise of these 3 questions. So over the last 8 months or so, I've gotten 49 emails or Facebook private messages that have been all about our body speaking to us, asking what does that mean, what the messages are these universal to, or are they specific to me? People just emailing, asking, Traci, what does this mean? And they outline their specific ailment. And I answer, because the messages from our body are our greatest gifts. So that's the first question area format that we're going to explore, our body speaking to you. The second is called spiritual showering. I've had nearly 50 questions on what the heck is this spiritual showering stuff you keep talking about. Now, the reality of that is most of those what the heck questions came before October 17th when I decided to finally do a show on spiritually showering. But they continue to come in. People asking if they're doing it right. How do they do it? Why are they doing it? So today, spiritual showering becomes part of our audience question. And finally, the most amount of questions that I've received is around the bioenergetic field and energy medicine specifically. 68 email or private messages over the last 8 months, very specifically asking me to explain bioenergetic field and energy medicine. So that's what we're going to do today. Unfortunately, though, it's time for our first break of the show. When we get back, we're going to talk about our body speaking to us, and I'm going to answer some of those questions. You're listening to Soul Healing with Traci Trimble. We'll be right back.
This is Soul Healing Radio Show with Doctor of Energy Medicine, Traci Trimble PhD. Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I am Traci, and I'm here to teach you metaphysical lessons in self-awareness without judgment. If you haven't already found me on Facebook, please try my personal page, Traci Trimble, or my business page, True Path Consulting with Traci Trimble PhD. Traci is spelled Traci. Let's get back to our show topic. Let's start answering some of these audience questions. So the first category that I've created is body speak. The reason that I think body speak is so important is because our body really is speaking to us, and we're not listening. It speaks to us in 3 ways. The first is through annoyances, itchy, scratchy, throbby, tingly, burny, numb. If we don't pay attention to that, it moves to pain and immobility. And if we still don't pay attention, it turns to dysfunction and disease. Our body speaks to us. So my first question comes from Ella in Paducah, Kentucky, USA. Ella says to me, "You have said that my body speaks to me. Are the messages my pain delivers unique to me, Or is it just a very general statement? So let me explain. In general, there is a very specific statement. If you're working with an energy practitioner who has one of theirs, a capacity to see, hear, feel, or touch, then that can give you very specific messages. For me, I go into your soul energy, I ask your soul and ego to share your pain with me, and I hear a story about the pain. But there is also a very easy way for you to interpret that as a general message. And then the way that isn't actually as easy, but it's even more empowering. So the answer to you, Ella, and the 23, sorry, I didn't write that down properly, the 23 people that have basically asked that question is, yes, your body is speaking to you in a very specific way unique to you, but you're not listening because you don't speak the language. So here's a couple tips on how to understand what your body is uniquely trying to say to you. First, the super easy way is to use the internet. Now, this is not a light duty to take on. For starters, do not Google the meaning of your pain, disease, or dysfunction, ever, because you're probably going to get some medical diagnosis that you're going to die tomorrow and you need prescription medication. Totally not true. Always Google the spiritual meaning of whatever it is your ailment is presenting. If you'd like an even deeper context, you're going to Google the metaphysical meaning of. And you're going to get a generalized story. And especially if you don't like the message or think it's not about you, you need to do that work. It's called ignore escape when that message is about you. Energy is a very specific and deliberate language. Where the body is presenting its pain means something. And that shifts us into the second way in which you can find out what your body's saying. Not as easy, but it's about learning the language. 5 of the questions in specific to body speak were to the effect of, how are the chakras actually speaking to me at all? I am not saying this right and I apologize, but Dominiella in Chicago, Illinois asks, how do the chakras speak to us? How do we know how to listen to them, and how is it possible that we can believe this is true? Okay, for starters, I apologize for butchering your name, I did so, but also, you're not asking the right question. You're asking too much why and how. So please start by asking what. Anytime you do body speak work, it is essential that the questions are, what does this mean? What is it trying to tell me? What do I need to know? Because you want to be attracting to you a higher vibration of awareness, not a low vibration of that experience. So let me talk a little bit about the chakras. The chakras are spiraling pools of energy whose purposefulness is to maintain the balance in our bioenergetic field. Shock energy medicine has been in play for thousands and thousands of years. It is also an awareness or an energy language for us. If you go to YouTube and you search for children's show chakras, you're going to pull up an episode of a really awesome kids cartoon called Last Airbender. where Aang meets with the guru to teach him chakras. It is 10 or 11 minutes, and it is the most simplistic, coolest, and empowering chakra lesson in that short of time that I've ever witnessed. I personally use it when I teach energy medicine because it's just that awesome. So go ahead and watch that show. Our chakras speak to us. They consume specific areas of our body. There are 7 main chakras. They are the crown, which are the top of our head, to a divot in our forehead, usually close to our eyebrows. That's chakra energy. Our third eye is from that divot to the soft part of our nose and all the pieces of our body in it. The throat chakra is from the soft part of our nose to our clavicle, just below our chin. Heart chakra is from the clavicle to the sternum and all of our body in that, including our arm. From the sternum to the belly button is our solar chakra. Belly button to pelvic floor is our sacral chakra. Pelvic floor to the floor is our root chakra. Each of these energy spaces are speaking to us, guiding, teaching, healing, and protecting every minute of every day. The right side of our body, influenced by our influential others, tells us where we're going in alignment. So if it's happening on the right side, it's your habits, your beliefs, your actions and inactions having to do with your influential outside others. It's your ego energy. The left side of your body is your soul energy. It's all about you. It's about your beliefs and habits. It's about what you're creating. The front of our body is moving us into the future, or if it's out of alignment, it's stopping us from moving into the future. In alignment, the back of our body is washing away the past. Out of alignment, we're stuck in the past. Our physical body is like a dictionary, and it has things to share with us. So Deborah from Fergus, Ontario, Canada asks specifically, my body pain includes psoriasis, pain in my right shoulder, and very often numbness in my fingers in the right hand. I replied to you, Deborah. I sent you excerpt from a book called Messages from the Body. And you wrote to me, where can I get that book? The challenge is if you're not in Europe, that's going to be hard for you to acquire. I believe by the time I received it, it was well over $700 or $800 Canadian dollars by the time I got it. I ended up having to ship it from Europe to the U.S. and have someone literally pick it up in the U.S. for me. But it is the most incredible book because it tells you very specifically what these things mean. Let's talk about right shoulder. Deborah, thank you for bringing that up for us. Lots of people have right shoulder pain. Right shoulder, first of all, means that you have allowed an influential other to put the weight of the world on your shoulders. The weight of the world is not your truth. So by you caring about it, you're lying. It's consuming your thoughts, your words, your chosen actions, and your chosen inactions. And your body is saying to you, stop carrying this around. Please. There's no space for this which is not ours. It also indicates very much that in this process of carrying this habit, belief, or fear, that you've become incapable of giving love without fear. You have started to consume that energy as your own, and it's challenged you physically. If it's at the front of the body, it's stopping you from moving forward. If it's at the back of the body, it's stopping you from moving forward because you're stuck in the past. Now, as that energy starts to move down your arm or into your chest, usually indicating that the fear, the lie, or the habit and belief is creating sadness, grief, and a perceived sense of loss of your own self. So when we go back to the question, is the message unique to me? Although it is very general, I think it is. If you want to understand more about what the chakras speak, what areas of the body they cover and how they speak to you, go back to my July 11th, 2018 podcast. But even more importantly than that, I'm going to ask you to go back to my June 20th, 2018 podcast called Unpacking Your Backpack, which I hope is going to make you want to start listening to what your body is saying. It looks like it's time for our first break of the show. Sorry, that would be our second break of the show. When we return, we're going to talk about the concept of spiritually showering, and I'm going to answer some of the questions, 50 of them actually, that I've received over the last month. And we'll be right back.
Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Traci Trimble, answering questions from the audience as I've been gifted over the last 8 months. Before we went to break, I told you we were going to talk about spiritual showering. This is one of the most popular questions that I get because I think I talk about it a lot without actually ever really talking about it. So, paraphrasing, probably almost every single one of the 50 emails that I've received about spiritual showering in the last 8 months is, what the heck is a spiritual shower, and why is that even important? Now, in particular, Natasha from Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, asks me, am I doing it wrong? I followed your example. I've Googled the idea, and I haven't found very much information. Will you please provide me with a video? And I'm laughing because no, I do read for a reason. There will not be any videos, which is probably not true because I'm about to launch most of my programming online in 2019. But no, Natasha, I am not sending a video. That would just be too much. Okay, so I'm actually lying. I am very happy to teach other people how to do the spiritual shower and video it. In particular, if you go back to the October 17th, 2018 show, it will go into a great amount of detail about what the spiritual shower is. But let me first answer that question. What the heck is a spiritual shower? It's an intentful action that recognizes the fact that energy does indeed build up on our bioenergetic field, and we are responsible for washing that away. It's an intent action to wash up the buildup of non-beneficial energy that is attached or attracted to us. I very often use this analogy. If you don't know what a spiritual shower is, it is most likely that you've never done it, because the intentful act is the important part. However, as neurotheology and neurology itself does more and more research in metaphysics, we come to realize that that statement I've just made might not be true, because a spiritual shower can include things like laughing until you're crying, cuddling with your pets, playing a musical instrument, dancing, being outside in nature. Literally anything that you do with the intention that you're filling your own cup. For me, that's Reiki, chakra balancing, yoga, meditation. It's having awesome sex with my husband. It's about being intimately connected to my physical body, but also to the world around me. Could you imagine not washing your face, your hair, or brushing your teeth for days, weeks, months, years, decades? So that kind of leads into the question of why is it even important and how come I've never heard of this before now? The reason that it's important, I believe, is because every single day we are emotionally triggered to go into what we call fight, flight, or freeze. Every layer, conscious of or unconscious of fight, flight, or freeze, is creating with us a layer in our bioenergetic field. Now, on average, men are triggered 600, women and children 800 times. If you're 40 years old and you are triggered 600 to 800 times to go into fight or freeze, you have in your bioenergetic field 11,860 layers of non-beneficial energy. What? That's right. Every day, 600 to 800 times, your parasympathetic and your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous systems go into overdrive. Your brain and your heart create a chemical that collide in your bloodstream called adrenaline. And that adrenaline ramps you up, gets you ready to fight or to freeze. And if you aren't even aware that you've been triggered or that there is no real danger, you don't release another chemical called serotonin that washes the adrenaline away. So where does that adrenaline go then? It goes into the layers of your bioenergetic field, your spiritual, your emotional, but most importantly, it stays in your physical body. It seeps into your muscles, your tissues, your bones, and it becomes a layer of non-beneficial energy, giving you evidence of fear energy. And the more that that evidence lives within you, the more becomes your vibration. So our spiritual disconnection, our mental neuroses, our emotional incapacity or instability, and our physical pain and suffering can be remedied through spiritually showering. Now, a spiritual shower takes 90 seconds. It's about reconnecting to our physical body. It's about opening our heart to give and receive love and forgiveness. It's about connecting to Source and asking Source to wash away all the disconnection, the isolation, the loneliness, all the stories and illusions that control us, washing away the sadness, grief, and the loss, the lies, melting away the shame, the anger, the lack, releasing the guilt, the blame, and the fear. And when we are emptied of those non-beneficial energies that attracted to us that day, we then get to fill up with energy we thrive in. We get to fill full of a sense of safety, security, and support. We remember creativity and passion. We find self-love, esteem, and willpower. And when we fill with that much love and light, we have the courage to be in truth, in thoughts that guide us to our highest good. We release the old stories and we create new and empowered ones, and we connect to something greater than ourselves. And then we simply brush off what we no longer need. Again, how to actually do the spiritual shower is on October 17th, 2018. But stay tuned. In the new year, on my website, Traci Trimble.ca, there will be a video of how and why to spiritually shower. The challenge with the spiritual shower is that it's just going to wash off that last 24 hours of trauma. We still have to do our work honestly. We still have to break away those thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of layers of trauma that we've accumulated. And I guess that takes us into the next series of questions. I've had 68 emails in the last 8 months asking what bioenergetic field is and what energy medicine is. I'm going to say Thomas, but it might be Thomas, from Brussels, Belgium, sent me an email that said, "You keep saying that you work in the bioenergetic field. What does that even mean? And how can you help me when I'm on the other side of the world?" Well, Thomas, I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing that properly. My friend T. In energy medicine, we believe that there is no space and time, that our physical body is simply a vessel that allows us to experience and collect everything that this lifetime gifts to us. Our bioenergetic field is our truth. It's the energy that radiates through us, within us, and around us. It supports our spiritual dimension, our mental dimension, our emotional dimension, and yes, of course, this physical dimension as well. Through an energy medicine called Reiki, I know the sacred space called Hanshanzei Shonen, where there is no time. And even if you're halfway across the world, I invite you into that space and you invite me into your energy. I heal that field. I rebalance it so that the layers of trauma that are distracting you from being your self can melt away, so that you become self-aware without judgment. It's energy medicine. It allows me to come all the way across the world. Big challenge with questions like this, and I'm only pointing Tomas out because he actually had to email me twice before I respond to him. So I wanted him to know that I apologize for that. But of those 68 emails, 27 of them were asking that exact same question. How can I help you when you're on the other side of the world, or when you're not in the room in front of me? That is energy medicine. That is our spiritual connected to our physical. Importantly, what I want to say about that is everyone has the gift to do that healing. You just have to remember that that's true. Each of us, whether we believe it or not, lives within our own bioenergetic field. And each of us has the capacity to do energy medicine. It looks like we're going into the third break of the show. When we come back, we're going to talk specifically about energy medicine, what it means, why it is so powerful, and why so many seek it now in this day and age. Thank you for listening to Soul Healing with Traci Trimble PhD. As always, I am so grateful to be in service to you. We'll be right back.
Now back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Traci Trimble, Doctor of Energy Medicine, and before we went to break, we were talking about the questions around the bioenergetic field and medicine. Energy medicine, although it is incredibly simplistic, gets incredibly complicated by our fears and our systems of belief. I have created 3 sessions or radio shows or podcasts focused entirely on energy medicine. If you go back to my very first show, my grandpa's 90th birthday, on April 4th, 2018, called Exploring Energy Healing, a really solid foundation of what energy medicine is all about. Why is it important? You will find the answer on June 6th, 2018 in Leveling Up. And most recently on August 1st, 2018, I talk about bioenergetic trauma release. So what is energy medicine? Essentially, it's the capacity or the way in which we eliminate all of the non-beneficial energy that's stolen from us, the capacity to be, do, and have the best possible spiritual human experience that we have. Energy medicine's purposefulness is to eradicate fear and to infuse the love. We embark on energy medicine because not only someone else help us do that medicine, but we can learn how to help ourselves. For me in particular, and this is, I was looking 19 of the questions, ask me what I mean by my superpower, hearing soul's voice, and by my capacity to go into the bioenergetic field. What that means to me is I have a clear sense. I have the capacity to hear a voice, now know is soul energy, and for some reason, the capacity to ask it questions, to know that it is your truth, and to answer the questions to the best of my ability. But I also have the ability with my eyeballs and my brain and my mind to see through the layer of energy that surrounds you, to recognize and name the disconnection, the non-beneficial energies, the distraction. And when we have the capacity to know the distractions, I also then, through Reiki beam, which is bioenergetic access method, and the Dejuni method, which is psychic surgery, have the capacity to pull that distant energy from your experience so that you're no longer consuming it, so that it's breaking away some of the millions of layers that we have accumulated because we aren't spiritually showered. I chose these 4 particular audience questions or categories of questions because they're important. They seem to be what everybody is reaching out to me about. So yes, everyone, your body speaks to you. Your bioenergetic field is a real thing, and it has cause and effect. If you embark on energy medicine, you have the capacity to learn how to heal yourself. And most importantly, if for 90 seconds every day you give yourself permission to be important enough to do a spiritual shower, you will, over time, eliminate the pain and the suffering that we associate with this space and time called human being. I want to once again say how incredibly grateful I am for all of you all over the world to continue to reach out to me, to know that I will get back to you as quickly as possible, that I do have a thriving practice, I do teach 3 days a week. I will get to my emails as quickly as I can. Your question is important. I will answer it. If you send your first name, last name, and date of birth, I will even check in to your cellular memory and ask questions to your soul and ego in a moment. It's time. It's time for each of us to choose to do our work, to be guided, healed, and protected. Well, it seems like it's all the time we have today. As always, I am so incredibly grateful to have spent this time with you and for you to have spent this time with me. If for any reason I haven't answered your specific question, concern, or idea, please don't hesitate to email me again or for the first time at Traci@tracitrimble.ca. If you're curious about what I can do to help you, to guide or to mentor you, please check out our website at tracitrimble.ca. Next week, I'm going to be reading to you one of my most favorite parables, The Little Soul and the Sun. Neil Donald Walsh wrote a beautiful child's story that I'm going to share. Have a great evening.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Soul Healing with Traci Trimble PhD.